All right. Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Jazziz Daily Brunch. We are on day 712 of this lockdown, or so it seems. I have totally lost count. All I know is that I can recite every word to Frozen 2 by heart because my daughter has watched it every day for a century now. I'm sure a lot of parents can relate. Anyway, we have got a great episode in store for you today. Today is actually a great anniversary day. It is the anniversary of the recording of Giant Steps by John Coltrane, recorded on this day in 1959. And we are taking our own giant step into uncharted territory here by going full Tonight Show mode with not one, but two guests in today's program. Both happen to be phenomenal young keyboard players. We're going to be starting things off with Christian Sands, whose new album, Be Water, is coming out in July. Christian was handpicked by Christian McBride to be in the bassist critically acclaimed Inside Straight ensemble and the trio. He was an American Pianist Association Award finalist and has performed with the likes of Gregory Porter and Bobby Sanabria, and he's just 30 years old, mind you. After we talk with him, we're going to be joined by Fabian Almazan, another great keyboard player out of Harlem, circa Miami. In addition to being a very skilled player, he is also the founder of Biophilia Records, a label that is committed to making a positive impact on the environment and on our own community. In our own communities. They were scheduled to have an in-person festival in New York starting on Earth Day, but that festival has switched to the web for obvious reasons, and Fabian is going to be here to talk about it. We're going to get into this amazing doubleheader in a minute, but first let me just quickly thank some sponsors. First of all, thank you to Concord Jazz. Their new album, Ella 100, Live at the Apollo, is available now for streaming and purchase. It is a live recording from 2016 featuring some superb performances by the likes of Andrew Day, Ledisi, Liz Wright, Cassandra Wilson, and Monica Mancini, not to mention the absolutely swinging Count Basie Orchestra led by Scotty Barnhart. It was hosted by Grammy Award winner Patty Austin and Tony Award nominated actor David Alan Grier. Like I said, it is available now. Pick up a copy for yourself or learn more at concord.com. Thanks also to Blue Sound Audio. Blue Sound is an award-winning wireless high-res sound system that lets you play music in any and every room throughout your home. You just choose music from your favorite streaming service or from a music library connected to your home network. Control where, at what volume, and when the music plays with the free Blue OS app for your smartphone, tablet, or desktop computer. And that's it. Getting the kind of crisp, detailed sound that only an audiophile grade system can deliver has never been easier. You can learn more at bluesound.com or at our website, jazziz.com, where we have put together a Blue Sound buyer's guide. All right, that'll do it for sponsors at the beginning of the show. It is my absolute privilege to welcome today's first special guest, Christian Sands. Christian, you there, man?
What's going on, man?
Not that much, man. Hanging in there. How about you, brother?
Good. Hanging.
Yeah, man. You are talking to us from where?
I am talking to you from my home in Connecticut, in Stamford, Connecticut. This is my living room / studio / relaxing pad.
Love it, man. And we are seeing some shout outs on Facebook. Yeah. Matthew, hey, man. If you're watching, feel free to drop us a line, ask us a question. We will get to it on air. Otherwise, just great to hear from you. Yeah. Christian, man, I've been spinning this new record, Be Water, and I've got to say, all right, I am a martial arts film buff.
Okay.
And I know Be Water.
Yes.
The great Bruce Lee quote.
Yes.
You know, water can flow or it can crash. Be like water, my friend.
Right.
Was that at all an inspiration for the album?
That's exactly what it's from. Right. Yeah. You know, I grew up watching a lot of Kung Fu flicks with my father. And not only just Kung Fu flicks, but also, you know, spaghetti Westerns. You know, I'm a big fan of those movies. So coming up with a concept of this, it was a number of things, a number of inspirations, but Be Water and Bruce Lee in particular was definitely one of them. I grew up doing martial arts as well. So, you know, this is definitely a backbone of mine.
Very cool. Yeah, there were some interesting confluences for how this title came together. I know Bruce Lee was one. There was a doctor's appointment that also contributed.
Yeah, yeah. You know, your doctor said, "Oh, yeah, you should drink more water." I was like, "All right, cool." So that was one. You know, there was a number of moments in my life for the past 2 years that just kind of kept going towards water. So it wasn't until the final push where Yasushi, the great bassist Yasushi Nakamura, and I were in Hawaii, and we stopped at a sort of like I think it's a park. I mean, you know, in Hawaii, everything looks like a postcard, so I'm not really sure if it was a park or not.
Really,
but it was absolutely incredible. We stopped to take in the sights and, you know, put our feet in the water, and a sea turtle appeared, and then it got closer and closer and closer. Then it kind of peeked its head out and kind of just chilled out with us for a little while. And so that was sort of the nail in the coffin of saying, like, this has to be about.
It's a sign.
Water. Yeah,
it's a sign. Yeah, man, absolutely. And the album stylistically reflects that. You know, the Bruce Lee quote goes that water, it fits into whatever. If it's in a cup, it could be a cup. It takes the shape of whatever it needs to be. And water is so dynamic. You know, it could be very tranquil, pond, still pond, be a tsunami, you know. And musically, the album reflects that. You've got some very, very mellow grooves on there, you know, on the keyboard, the Rhodes. You're playing some Rhodes on this album, right?
There's some Rhodes on there. There's some B3 on there. Yeah, man.
And then at the other end of the spectrum, you're tipping really hard, man. It's really burn and swing. So I'm curious about your own influences growing up and how you kind of developed that palette, such a broad palette. Growing up, who were you listening to in terms of keyboards?
Oh, man. Growing up, I mean, you know, I was listening to Herbie Hancock, of course, a lot of Herbie Hancock, a lot of Thelonious Monk, my early childhood, a lot of Joe Sample. You know,
nice.
Shout out to Joe Sample.
Sure.
Definitely Joe Sample, Ahmad Jamal. You know, it kind of went in stages, you know, from a kid being exposed to Herbie because of my father. He just loved everything Herbie did. He loved everything Miles did. So really Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, you know. And then it just started shifting, you know, went into the Alex Bugnon phase, you know, you went into the David Benoit phase, you know. Joe Sample, you know, the list goes on and on. Oscar Peterson eventually, and then, you know, Oscar Peterson, Art Tatum at a certain point just took over my life for a while. You know,
nice, man.
Yeah.
So again, it's the full spectrum because you got Joe Sample on the one side, laying down smooth vibes,
you know,
virtuoso
Taylor, Taylor. I mean, he's absolutely incredible. I mean, you know, I just love piano. You know, whatever, you know, whoever played it, whatever they've done with it, I absolutely love it.
Did you get much into the techie side of, you know, putting together sounds on a synths? You know,
I did that when I was a kid. You know, funny enough, when I was first introduced to the Headhunters record, that was kind of like, okay, what is this? What sounds are these? You know, and I begged my mother and my father to get me a Fender Rhodes.
Nice.
Like for like a year. I was like, this is what I need. I need to get this Fender Rhodes.
It's a serious piece of equipment, man.
Yeah, and I need to get pedals, and I need to get all this stuff, and I need to get Moogs, and I need, you know.
Yep.
And I started collecting them, you know, and going to people's houses, or, you know, in my high school, there was a band room in the back, in the corner, and underneath music stands and everything. It was an old, I don't even know what kind of keyboard it was, but it was an old analog synth. I don't even know what it is. And it was attached to like pliers. It was like a weird, but it sounded amazing. So it was just, I was so into that, and I was so into creating sounds, and, you know, I've kind of gone away from it, but I'm trying to make my way back into that.
Well, it used to be such a science. You know, now there's patches. You just download the patch. You know, I want to sound like Herbie Hancock and Headhunters.
Right.
You just download the sound.
Right. But, no, I'm into just like, let's create it. Let's go through the process.
I love that, man. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Walk me back a little bit how you met, you know, Christian McBride, because that is a partnership. That's a solid partnership you got with him. You're an inside straight, that band. You're with the trio. When did you first meet Christian?
So funny enough, the first time I met Christian it might have been the first week or two that I moved to New York City back in 2007. Wow. And I met him. He was doing a live listening session of just music that he loved and just talking about it. I believe it was at the National Museum of Harlem, Jazz Museum in Harlem.
Oh, right. Sure.
I think that's where it was. I can't remember. I went with a fellow classmate and musician, Jesse Simpson. Shout out to Jesse Simpson, incredible drummer, incredible cymbal maker, by the way. Yeah. And we both went, and he was doing his session. You know, McBride was doing his session. It was great. He was playing all the music from James Brown, Ray Brown, you know, all the Browns. And at the end of it, we got a chance to meet him. So, you know, I went up to him, was like, hey, my name is Christian as well. You know, I'm a pianist.
You got it in.
Yeah, I was like, I'm in. He's like, oh yeah, his big personality. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like,
man.
cool. There's a piano over there. Why don't you play something? And I went over and the piano was horrible. I mean, there
Oh
was
no.
missing strings. There
Oh
was
no.
missing I mean, everything that at that time, the tools that I needed to make music at the time, or at least I felt at the time, I just didn't have.
Uh-oh.
And so I tried playing whatever I could play. And then he looked at me. He was like, yeah, all right.
Oh man.
So it was not
a great first impression.
It wasn't a great first impression. It was a great first impression as far as the connection we had.
Right.
So then fast forward 4 years or so, or 3 years. Yeah. I was doing a radio interview with Mary McPartland.
Oh, nice.
And doing her piano jazz show.
Yeah.
And she became ill. So her substitute was Christian McBride. So I ended up doing the show with him, playing with him, and it was cool. Nothing was really said, but it was all right, cool. And then it was kind of a number of things. I was a part of his Jazz Aspen program. It's a beautiful program that he has in Aspen where he brings all these musicians, college musicians, I believe, out, and you're in bands and you're performing all week with whoever he's brought out to teach you. And so at that time it was Maceo Parker, Dee Dee Bridgewater, Harry Connick Jr. I mean, the list goes on and on. Fred Wesley. Yeah, some people. Right. And I ended up going because it was actually a group from Juilliard, and I went to Manhattan School of Music, but the amazing pianist and composer Chris Bowers was actually in that group. And I guess I think he might have been on tour at that time, so he couldn't make it. So the group had asked me to sub for him. So I was like, all right, yeah, cool. Me and Chris go way back, so yeah, I'll definitely, play. And it ended up working out that I went with that group. And when I went, me and Christian and Ulysses Owens, that's actually when we met. We started playing together. Cool. And we started playing, little sessions here and there, and then little, dinner parties here and there. And then just kind of just developed. So a few months later, I get a call from his manager saying, hey, Christian is doing a week at the Jazz Standard in New York, and he wants you to do the whole week. For me, I thought it was like, he wants me to sit in. He was like, no, he wants you to do the entire
Wow.
the entire week at the Jazz Standard, with his Inside Straight group. Yeah. So that was the first.
Wow, man. Incredible. Yeah. Piano players talk a lot about locking in, especially in a setting like a trio. You got to lock in with the bass player. What is it like to lock in with Christian McBride, man?
It's exactly how you think. The thing is he's an extension of his sound is an extension of who he is. He's such a warm personality. I mean, when you talk to him, it's the easiest thing in the world. So playing with him is exactly that. There's a reason why he is where he is and he is who he is. Right. When you hear him play, it's not just the facility he has, it's just the role of the bass. The bass is actually just done. Right. I don't have to wonder what the chord is. I don't have to wonder where I am in the form. Everything is marked. Everything is where it's supposed to be. I make comparisons to basketball because I'm a basketball fan. So it's like somebody that you can just rely on to get rebounds, to get, to do everything.
Right, man.
He's like the most dominant defensive
Ben
player.
Wallace.
Right. There you go.
Rodman, if you will.
There you go. Who
Right
can also
on,
shoot free throws. Right.
Yeah, exactly. You bring that over to your own group as well. The group is solid, man. The group is very, very, very solid. And you can tell even with the elasticity of some of the group as you get into a really good, improvised group or something. It's just solid is the word I would use to describe it. That's the core group is you and Yasushi and Clarence Penn.
Yeah.
Drummers. But we should mention the album has some guest spots as well with the likes of Sean Jones on trumpet, right? Steve Davis on trombone, and you've got a string quartet on there.
Yeah, string quartet. Marcus Strickland on saxophone, Marvin Sewell on guitar. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, man.
Have you arranged for strings before, or is that...
I have, but in this particular setting, because I was just writing for so many other things, I had and wanted to collaborate with somebody else. I had collaborated with the amazing Miho Hazama. We were classmates in Manhattan School of Music, and ever since meeting her, I was just a fan of hers.
Yeah.
And so we had spoke to each other a long time ago about working together, and this project kind of presented itself that this will be the perfect moment. So I called her and I was like, hey, I got this idea that I'm doing, and I want you to be a part of it.
Nice, man. Yeah, no, the strings are gorgeous. Shout out to Mia too.
Yeah.
Phenomenal musician. I'm curious about, we've all seen in terms of live performance, like how things are shifting to the web, right? And how we're, adapting to that. But I'm curious, as a musician yourself, part of what makes jazz is the communication with other musicians. So you're home, everyone's got time to shed, which is great. But do you feel like that ability to communicate, with other musicians live in real time on the bandstand, is that a muscle that could like potentially weaken by, just being home?
No. The way I see it is that, if you want to communicate with a musician, just pick up the phone and call them.
Yeah.
Have
you been doing any of that?
All day.
Nice.
I'm on the phone now. Aside from doing conference calls and all that, I'm also
playing?
Just they're not even playing, but just talking with cats. I think once when you really have the communication of just speaking to one another and breaking bread and really bonding with people, when you get back on the bandstand, it'll be the same exact thing. You know who the person is. So when I'm on the phone with Yasushi Nakamura or Clarence Penn or Christian McBride or a number of other great musicians, we're always, we're talking about real life situation. We're talking about where we are in this time, but we're also talking about music. We're also, hey man, what record are you listening to? Or like, what program was that you used on Facebook? Cause that looked killing, So, and then we have that conversation, but we don't get a chance to play with one another, really. We're working it out. We're working out different ways,
It's tough. Yeah, that Brady Brunch screen thing.
It's
cool. It's great that we get to see music. I imagine it's hard for musicians. It's different. Yeah,
it's different. It's funny. It's kind of like being a producer where you just have tracks now.
Right.
So now this is the drum track. Cool. Well, let me add to the drum track. Let me add this. Let me add that. Let me add that. Oh, let me go back and do this. So it is kind of like copy paste editing, that type of deal, which is very different. But for those that have used sequencers and for those that use Logic a lot, this is just another, day in the sun,
And for those of us watching at home, like when we see something like everybody at the Jazz and Lincoln Center Orchestra, performing in a square and they're all performing together, is that pre-recorded and put together, or are there programs where you can perform live?
Man, I that's what we're trying to figure out. Because there are moments where like, oh yeah, I've been working on stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just this close, it's some lagging, but I'm this close. But what if I play on this side of the beat and it's like doesn't work, but then if you put it to a metronome and you sync it up together perfully,
it just might work, because we've all been there trying to sing Happy Birthday over Zoom or something like that, and it's impossible. It's impossible. So I can't imagine, trying to play with a quartet or something.
Right, exactly.
The new album, man, I think is in a lot of ways with this theme of adapting, be water, adapt. It's like the perfect anthem for our time right now.
Exactly.
And not only musically is it good to just, I have some of the advanced audio, but when it is released July 14th again?
17th.
17th. That's right.
Yeah.
It's on Mac Avenue. It's going to be available streaming service, but I encourage you, go buy the record, go buy the thing, spin it, turn down the lights, let Christian's music just take you to another place. That's the one thing. But on the other thing, just this theme of you got to adapt. So, I'm curious on a personal level, just how you're adapting through this, taking up any new hobbies, practicing the martial arts, baking that ingredient bread. I haven't
practiced my martial arts or Tai Chi in a while, but I'm cooking. I'm cooking like crazy. I am practicing a lot, spending time with the family, really being home. This is very different for a lot of musicians. We're usually on the road. Like I'm usually always on the road. So to be home is very different, so catching up on sleep, Ish, ish. But yeah, man, just trying to stay focused, stay productive, because it's easy. I mean, you might the day will go by really quickly.
Yeah.
If you're not careful,
Yeah.
at a certain point, you're like, oh, it's 7 o'clock already, or it's 8 o'clock already. It'll go by quick. So, just be productive. I'm saying, read, practicing, just try to take in different things, watching different documentaries, watching Tiger King. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Interesting, man. Yeah, that is one. It starts weird, and just when you think
It gets
weird,
man,
it's weirder.
It's like, wow. And then write some music after you watch it, right?
I think we're going to see a lot of Tiger King after this thing is done and over with, for sure.
Exactly.
You've been listening to anything, discovering any new artists you want to turn some Jazziz listeners on?
Yeah. Let me actually pull this up here. I'm sorry to be unprofessional and get my phone, but
no worries, man. And while you're doing that, I just got a text from our producer here. He says Nicolas Cage is playing Joe Exotic in a new TV miniseries. I don't know. We'll have to verify that, Jeff. I don't know, but if it's true, the world is going to have something else to binge watch.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's important, though, like you're saying, you try to be productive. I was reading an interview with Jerry Seinfeld yesterday in the New York Times, and he said, I carve out an hour of writing time.
Yeah.
Where, because productivity is weird. Sometimes you can't force it.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I have to be in front of my computer writing. Well, I have to be in front of my computer, but I can't do anything else. I don't have to write, but I just can't do anything else.
Right.
Right. You find that's helpful? Like, I have my music writing time, my practicing time, or is it you strikes me kind of a deal?
No, it's like I sit there, and sometimes, especially I don't know if you can see, but I'm near a window. So I have these giant sliding door windows, and I'm overlooking, just the city. And I love it because you just hear birds, and you hear, the traffic, and you hear, people outside. So a lot of times I just open my window and just sit there and wait until inspiration hits. But, you just got to be there. You got to sit there. You got to just absorb everything that you're at. Because if you don't go to your craft, then you're going to be rusty,
Right.
Always practice. Always, touch your instrument. Always make sure, that connection is still there, because it can go away.
The butt in the chair theory.
That's it.
Butt in the chair.
That's it. Get your butt in the chair.
So you grew up in Connecticut, right?
Yeah, grew up in New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay, so close enough to New York.
Yeah,
it must be very difficult being so close to New York and not being able to experience live jazz.
Yeah, I mean, well, like when I grew up, there was a lot of music happening, and it slowly, started moving around. But when I was a kid, New Haven had a lot of really creative stuff. I mean, it still kind of does. We had the Arts and Ideas Festival. We had Jazz Haven. It's not Jazz Haven. We had the Jazz Festival in New Haven. We had Yale. They would put on concerts, and we had the high schools that were performing. I was also part of a
teach at a college.
Yeah, we had Hart. With Jackie McLean, we had a lot of different schools in Hartford and New Haven. We had, I was a part of a youth choir and then a youth mega choir, so I used to sing.
All right. Could we see that again potentially?
Maybe if I have enough wine, then maybe.
Okay. Right on. Now when this thing is all over and done with, you see Christian at a club.
Right. If I'm singing, I had some. But it was growing up was a very vibrant time, because it was so much fun. It was performances, people doing doo-wop on the side of the street, and it was kids, adults, you name it. It's just a lot of creation going on, so it was really fun.
Is there a particular venue you miss and that you'd like to just get back to right as soon as we're able to? I don't know when that's going to be.
Man, just the stage. That's it.
Just the stage.
I just can't wait to get on the stage and be there for people, and give people that moment.
Right on, man. Right. Well, the new album, like we said, July 17th is coming out on Mac Avenue Records. You have released some singles.
Yeah. Some singles are out. Sonar is out in May. Drive is going to be out May 8th. That's the new single. So that's going to be featuring Marcus Strickland and Marvin Sewell on that. So it's a fun track. So I think everybody would dig it.
Cool, man. And then what was really nice about your previous release, Reach, was that it was this album of really great material. And then you dropped an EP, of documentary stuff. Anything like that in the works?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff happening, man. There's tons of things. There's, I'm working on so many different platforms of just getting the music and my message out. So, be on the lookout for anything, collaborations with fashion designers, cookbooks. I mean, you name it. I'm a part of it.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, again, we should mention new album drops July 17th.
Yes.
It is called Be Water. We can follow along. What's the best place to follow along all things Christian Sands?
Man, my Instagram, Christian Sands Jazz, my website, christiansandsjazz.com, Twitter, Christian Sands 1, Facebook, Christian Sands Jazz, and just follow me. Just write me a message, like my stuff, send me stuff. A lot of people have been sending me videos of them playing my music, which has been really fun to watch.
Awesome.
And really fun to check out. Yeah. So, do that.
All right. We will stay in touch, man. We're going to have you back on for a review of the Tiger King featuring Nicolas Cage. We'll do a breakdown with Christian.
Please. And shout out to Fabian too. I haven't seen Fabian in a little while. We went to college together. So shout out to Fabian. He's one of my favorite pianists in mine. So shout out to him.
100%, man. He will be on very soon. But Christian, thank you so much for joining me on the brunch. I raised a glass of coffee to you.
There we go.
Buy the album, ladies and gentlemen. It's awesome. Check out everything Christian Sands has going on. Christian, I'll see you backstage if you want, and unless you could bounce. I'm going to take a few more sponsors here, and we're going to be on with our next guest, Fabian, in just a minute here. Thanks, Christian. Bye, man. All right. Christian Sands, everybody. Again, that album is killer. Be Water drops July 17th on Mac Avenue Records. Stream the singles. They're out right now, and buy it when it comes out in July. Before we proceed to our next guest, Fabian Almazan, I just want to take a minute to thank a few more sponsors. First being Mac Avenue Records, which will be releasing Christian Sands' phenomenal disc come July. If you want to start spinning some Mac Avenue stuff right now, check out the latest album by Jimmy Green. It's called While Looking Up, and it's excellent. We wrote about it on our site as part of our April issue. Or if you're into it, check out the new Tower Power record, Step Up. They are both available right now. To order them, check out macavenue.com. Thanks also to Smoke Sessions Records, a great label and jazz club based out of Manhattan. Their latest is The Intangible In Between from Orrin Evans and the Captain Black Big Band. So Orrin Evans is the pianist and newest member of The Bad Plus. This is his signature big band. It's a great record. To hear it for yourself or a little bit, check out smokesessionsrecords.com. Also, a quick programming note before we bring in Fabian. Tomorrow at 11, we will be sitting down with guitarist John Schofield, who will be releasing a new album, a tribute to Steve Swallow, this summer. And starting May 11th, that's next Monday, mark your calendars, everyone, we will be moving to a 5 p.m. time slot. So yes, the brunch becomes a happy hour, but we just wanted an excuse to drink on air. Anyway, we will bring in our next guest right now. Please welcome to the show, Fabian Almazan.
Hey, how's it going?
Man.
Good to see you, Brian.
Good to see you too, man. How you doing? How you holding up?
I'm good. Been keeping very busy with a lot of work. A lot busier, I think, than I was imagining. But I'm just trying to do what I can to help the artists in my label, Biophilia Records, as much as I can, and just be a productive, contributing artist member of society.
Awesome, man. That you are, and I'm glad to hear you're busy because what you do is amazing. Hi
to Christian too, by the way. I haven't seen him in a while.
It's up to Christian.
One of my favorite pianists as well.
Totally. And you two are two of my favorite pianists. So we're glad we can make this work. Everything being on lockdown at the moment, we are kind of seeing just how big of an effect humans have had on the environment. And when we kind of step back a little bit, dolphins are returning to Venice canals. We're seeing wildlife returning to some areas. So we're really seeing how big of an impact we have had as humans on the environment. At Biophilia Records, you were always kind of ahead of this curve. And I'm curious if you could just, give a primer on the label a little bit and, what mission you wanted to accomplish, what environmental policies you wanted to have in place for the label as you launched it.
Sure. Well, it was a combination of things. I first found out about the term biophilia through an E.O. Wilson book. He's a biologist, and the theory of biophilia is that human beings are innately attracted to living things, to nature. That's why people will pay insane amounts of money just to live near Central Park. There's just something within us that we're drawn to other living things, to nature. I've always cared deeply about the environment and climate change. And it wasn't until I saw a concert, a Herbie Hancock concert at, I think it was the Seattle Zoo, that something clicked. And I realized both of these worlds could come together for me. It was really interesting hearing the animals and how they related to the music.
Yeah.
Well, the non-human animals, because we are animals.
At the end of the day, yes.
But I also had a lot of friends, and I knew of a lot of musicians that just weren't getting the recognition that I knew they deserved. I felt like they were creating some incredible imaginative music. So I essentially just wanted to bring forth a dialogue about environmentalism and share all of this imaginative music that was going on by artists that care about climate change and the environment. So that's where Biophilia Records came in.
And you release music on what is called a biofolio.
Yeah, I happen to have one right here.
All right. Prepared, a true professional.
No, it's a total coincidence. So this is the Biofolio. It's a paper origami. It's intended to be able to provide the music fan who wants a physical product, but can be a little more environmentally friendly. So it looks like a CD, but it's actually made out of paper, and it folds out. It's got 20 panels. And a lot of liner notes and artwork, which is an art that, little by little is disappearing. But yeah, this is the Biofolio. It has a download code inside that's unique to every single Biofolio. And the joke that I always make on gigs, when gigs happened in real life, was that if you don't like the music, you can recycle it, and it's totally biodegradable.
It is such an innovative solution, because CD pressing obviously is wasteful in a lot of ways, and this, you get a premium physical product that you can just kind of spend a couple hours looking over as you listen to the music, without all the environmental waste. And Fabian, you are an incredibly humble guy, because dude, that was your album, by the way, This Land of Boundless Life, which is awesome, ladies and gentlemen. That was one of my favorite records. That dropped 2018, 2019?
19, yeah.
20. I know, it feels like it's been forever since just last
that recording was actually nuts, because we recorded it in December and it was mixed and ready to go by January.
Wow.
So it was the quickest I've ever done anything.
A very cool project. You traveled back to Cuba, where your family is originally from, to record field sounds, to work with folk musicians there, and incorporated that into your own jazz compositions.
Yeah. It was through the Jerome Fund I was able to acquire a grant. So I was also performing with Terrence Blanchard at the time in a festival in Cuba. So everything just kind of ended up fortuitously coming together. So it had been 23 years since I had been back to Cuba. I was born in Havana. The reason I don't have an accent is because my mom was a translator. So I always heard English growing up. I could put on a fake accent, but I don't think you want me to. But yeah, I went back to Cuba, and I went on the western side of the island into the jungles, and I met up with field biologists and made field recordings. Actually, the bird that you see in the front here, that's called the tocororo. That's the national bird of Cuba. And yeah, it was a very emotional experience for me. I got to see family that I hadn't seen in 23 years. Not to get too political or anything, but a lot of families have been separated by this. And as I mentioned earlier, I was able to see my uncle, who I hadn't seen in a very long time, and then he passed away 2 months later. So it was just very meaningful for me. It was an experience that felt like, I don't know, I got a lot of closure out of it. I was already crying at JFK before even leaving New York for that trip. So it was extremely emotional for me.
And you can hear it in the music. It is a phenomenal album. You can stream it now, but I encourage you to go buy that Biofolio, and again, put the album on, just peruse that Biofolio. It's endlessly entertaining. Fabian, how do you ensure, that the audio quality of the streaming or downloadable music is up to par?
Well, it's more than twice as good as CDs, because CDs come in 44.1 resolution. I don't know if that's the right sample rate.
Rate. Yeah.
Yeah. But we have the biofolios. When you download the audio, which is done via Bandcamp, all the instructions are clearly laid out inside the biofolio. You get 96K. So it sounds better than CD quality. That is if you download it. If you stream it, like everybody else, you get what it is.
Right.
But yeah, no, I've made an effort to really try to cater to everyone out there and still feel like I am true to my moral compass. I am by no means telling you that you're a bad person if you use CDs. That's not what I'm just trying to do what I can to help.
Yeah, man, we appreciate that, certainly. Okay, Fabian, tell us about the Biophilia Festival. We're underway with this, yes?
Yeah, it was a massive undertaking for me. I'm lucky that I have a very supportive family of artists in the label, and they all jumped right in. Basically, within 3 days of realizing that it was a slight possibility that we could put the festival on through the internet, we jumped into it, and yeah, in 3 days we were able to get it all up and running. We were able to book all the artists. It's 14 performances that are going to happen online. We're up. The next one is going to be the 6th one, which is this Friday. They all happen at 6:15 p.m. New York time. And originally it was supposed to coincide with the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which was going to be April 22nd. And we were going to have the festival at the Jazz Gallery in New York, which we were very grateful to. Everybody out there, please support the Jazz Gallery too. They have, I strongly feel that, I don't know, I'm going to make up a percentage, 50% of the artists that you listen to, what you would not be listening to were it not for the Jazz Gallery.
And how can they do that? Like, what's the best way to support something like the Jazz Gallery?
You can go to their website, thejazzgallery.org, I believe it is, or just Google them. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yes, thank you to the Jazz Gallery. They were going to host the Biophilia Records Jazz Festival, not jazz, Biophilia Records Festival. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so it's been amazing to see the audiences. They can ask questions in real time, and the artists have answered them. And it's I've learned a lot of technology. I'm basically doing what you're doing, which a lot of 9-year-olds have taught me a lot of things on YouTube. It's incredible how quickly these kids pick up all of this technology.
Totally. And so these concerts, you'll have ensembles play together remotely?
Well, it's a combination. Some of the artists have streamed live. I did that. Then other artists are premiering recordings that they have made in the past of live performances. And we had a very moving performance by Adam O'Farrell and his dad, Arturo O'Farrell, that they recorded in LA maybe 2 days before we had the actual show online. And for me, I was the first person that got to see it. It was very moving to see the two of them performing together. So things like that, yeah. Okay.
And these are archived? Are they able to see those performances, or is it pretty much live?
Cool. Yeah. So we have two options. Fans are welcome to either get the $5 single ticket for each individual concert, or they can buy the all access pass, which is $20. Both of these options are on Eventbrite. If you go to Eventbrite and Google Biophilia Records, it'll all come up. The beauty of getting the all access pass is that you can view all past and future performances anytime you'd like. You receive a link to all of the performances individually, and they're up for as long as YouTube exists.
Oh, nice, man. Very cool. You know, I'm curious. So the performance is this Friday, and that's by who?
Lara Bello.
Okay.
Yeah, her album was actually the very first one that we put out as a biofolio, and it's a beautiful album. It features Lionel Lueke, and we're gonna have streams of music videos that she made that are just visually amazing.
Cool, man. And then who else is coming up on the agenda? Because it extends through when?
Through the end of May.
Okay.
We're gonna have a surprise last performance that's gonna be. I'm actually announcing this here. We haven't set what date it's going to be, but it'll be free for everyone, and it'll be a big surprise.
All right, man.
So it's Lara Bello. She'll be this Friday. Then Linda Mehan O, and then Desmond White. And I think the person after that, if I'm remembering correctly, is Justin Brown, who will be playing and talking from LA.
Yeah, the drummer.
Yeah.
Just a killer drummer. That's Universal Jazz sign.
Yeah.
The shaking fist. I want to get your perspective on this. We have seen how things like festivals, concerts are adjusting to this new reality that we're living in by moving online, or, someone will play a performance in an empty, venue that'll be streamed online. But, you produce records. How will the making of albums change going forward? You can't necessarily get 5-6 people in the studio anymore.
Well, we'll survive somehow.
Yeah.
I guess depending where you live, you don't see people riding horses around anymore. People most likely are in a car.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with music and technology. We are a very resourceful species. We will find a way. I certainly am trying my best to find a way of continuing to share this music with the people, because I genuinely feel like it's one type of medicine that can help. So yeah, I mean, there are lots of creative people out there. I have no doubt that our resiliency will shine, and we will be. I mean, if there isn't a more resourceful human being out there than a jazz musician in 2020, so we will find a way.
Right on, man. Right on. On that note, are there releases in store for Biophilia that were already in the can that we can expect later this year?
Yeah, I'm really excited about them. The first one is a completely new band called Tropos. They're really, really interesting. They're all nuts, and I love them. They made an album that's a tribute to Anthony Braxton, celebrating his 75th birthday.
Oh, wow.
That comes out on May 15th. And actually, another announcement that I'll make here, we're going to make a remix contest, which we will announce later on today. So be on the lookout for that, everyone out there, where we will provide the stems for Frunk, which is the first track of that album.
Yeah.
And it's $100 prize. And we will reveal the winner on May 15th on the Biophilia Records Festival. Beyond that, the next release that we have is Sara Serpa, who's an incredible vocalist and composer from Portugal. Her album, I believe, comes out June 5th, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it's a very moving album. It's accompanied by a film, which is footage, family footage. And yeah, I'll leave it at that because it's pretty hard to describe. It's a massive undertaking that she did. It's great, which leads me to the other album that's coming out, which is another massive undertaking, which is the duo called Endless Field, which is Ike Sturm on bass and Jesse Lewis on guitar. Mm-hmm. These guys did an incredible project where they went out with National Geographic videographers and photographers and incredible sound engineers to the wilderness in Utah and recorded their entire album outdoors. The sound quality is incredible. Wow. It's unlike anything I've ever heard because you get this pristine acoustic instrument sound and the sound of nature. They're donating, they and Biophilia Records were donating all of the proceeds from that album to the Natural Resources Defense Council, the NRDC, because both the label and Endless Field care very much about climate change and the environment. And the beautiful thing about that album, which is called Alive in the Wilderness, is that because they went out with a videographer, every single track has a video, which is the capture of that actual performance, which is on the album. And you can see these beautiful landscapes where they recorded. They recorded in canyons, at the top of mountains and deserts and flower fields. It's just stunning. And I think during this time when we can't leave our homes, to be able to be transported both via music, but also visually, to be out there in these beautiful landscapes. Please do yourself a favor and check that album out.
100% agree. That is really the power of music right now. And that was always the great thing about Biophilia is you really create an immersive experience for the listener. You know, it's not just putting on an album. You kind of get that vinyl quality of listening as an experience, a tactile thing, you know, with a download, which has been awesome. Is there anything in the works for a remote album, you know, that you're working on now during this lockdown, or is it kind of a catch your breath period?
Well, I am working it out, but yes, I do have a very ambitious plan that I'm not ready to to put out there yet, just because I have to make sure we can deliver. But yeah, I'm constantly trying to come up with ways of helping the artists. I'm very fortunate. We're all very fortunate to have some extremely supportive fans who have had very helpful suggestions, and I really, really appreciate the support from the fans, and we are listening. So yeah, we have an idea in the works that we'll announce when it's ready.
Cool, man. Well, the Biophilia Festival is taking place right now. The next one is this Friday.
Yeah.
Where can people learn more about Biophilia? Pick up a Biophilia record. Best place to do that.
Well, Biophilia Records is on Bandcamp, and Bandcamp has been incredible. They've had now 2 dates where all of the proceeds go directly to the artist. So I encourage you to go on Bandcamp. It's just Biophilia Records in the Bandcamp page. We're also on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook. We have the website, Biophilia Records. Yeah, all of those things.
Right on, man. Now, Fabian, someone asked Christian earlier in the show about a young artist, or doesn't necessarily have to be a young artist, but as you're in lockdown, as you're discovering new music, was there someone that you were turned on to during this period recently that you may want to share with Jazziz listeners?
Well, David Ludwig is a classical composer that he teaches at the Curtis Institute in Philadelphia. If he happens to listen to this, I am your biggest fan. I have been listening to his music nonstop. There's just something about his composing that really resonates with me.
Cool, man. David Ludwig, check him out. Appreciate it. All right, the festival is ongoing. New installment this Friday. You know where to check out Biophilia Records, and I encourage you to do so.
There's one thing I forgot to mention. We want to help not just the artists, but also the fans. So we have made all of the albums, well, little by little, we're making all of the albums available for free, or pay what you can afford on Bandcamp.
Wow.
So yeah, we want to make sure that as many people as possible can get that medicine of music. So yeah, just wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
No, that's awesome, man. And thank you for that. Like I say, check out these Biophilia records. Check out Fabian's. It was one of my favorite of 2019 when it came out. And yeah, be sure to tune in for the Biophilia Festival. It is exactly that transportive experience you need. We're all stuck at home. We've been staring at the same laptop screen for however many months it's been now. You know, it's nice to just feel like you're taking part in live music again. And, you know, you and the label are certainly on the forefront of that, man. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, you're very welcome. Happy to shine a light on great artists, as always. Fabian, be well, man. Again, thanks for chatting with us on the brunch this morning. I raised a cup of coffee. Actually, this is tea, reishi mushroom tea, to you, sir. And I hope we stay in touch, and I will certainly be listening, man.
Thank you.
Thanks
you.
a lot,
all
Fabian.
The best.
Bye. All right. Hey, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for following along on this first in what we hope is a regular feature, having 2 guests on at once, you know, maybe a round table. You know, we're just trying to think outside the box when it comes to this program. And again, we want to talk to as many amazing artists as possible. Just again, a quick programming reminder, starting the 11th, we will be moving into the evening at 5 p.m. We're going to experiment with that time slot. You let us know how it feels. If you want to go later, maybe we may take it into the 8 p.m. range, you know, maybe make it a little after hours party. We can do that as well. And then, yeah, that's starting May 11th. Coming up on the program tomorrow, John Schofield is going to be talking about his new tribute album to Steve Swallow. We've got Ilan Meller of Nouvelle Records coming up on the program on May 7th. Nouvelle is a subscription vinyl service. You know, everything is subscription based now. Your Netflix, your Amazon Primes, your coffee companies. If there's one that's absolutely worth doing, it's Nouvelle, because it's a vinyl subscription service. Each season, they send you a box set of beautiful 180-gram vinyl records. He will be on the program on Thursday to talk about what's going on with Nouvelle. And then we're going to wrap things up on Friday, May 8th, with Jay Beckenstein of Spyro Gyra. People remember he was supposed to be on the show a little while back. We've rescheduled again for Friday, May 8th. Coming up the following week, we have the guys from Go-Go Penguin on the 11th. Eric Alexander on the 12th, and check this out on the 13th, Michael Imperioli. You know him from The Sopranos and a bunch of other stuff. He is actually a huge jazz fan. He's very involved with the Jazz Foundation of America. He's going to be talking to us about how he fell in love with jazz. That is next Wednesday, the 13th. And then the 14th, we've got Louis Armstrong expert Ricky Riccardi. He's going to be talking to us about a new virtual exhibit at the Louis Armstrong House. And we're going to wrap things up on Friday with Kat Edmondson and maybe Bobby Watson. So that'll do it for me on today's episode. Thank you again for tuning in. Check out everything we've got going on online at jazziz.com. We are running a subscription offer at the moment, 3 months of digital access for just 99 cents per month. Plus, we enroll you to receive our summer 2020 issue, which is all about fusion. So you get that 3 months. You can read everything on the website. Then come summer, a beautiful premium quality print issue arrives on your doorstep. There it is. There's the offer. 3 months for just 99 cents per month. You get the digital all access. That's all our reviews, interviews, web features, and so on. And then come June 2020, you'll receive that print summer issue, which is all about fusion. All right. Oh, one more thing. Thanks for reminding me, Jeff. Independent artists out there or friends of independent artists. People always ask, how can I get my album reviewed by Jazziz Magazine? Well, this is absolutely the way to do it. Our Inside Track program. All you can do is visit jazziz.com, click that submit your music button in the top nav bar. Send us everything about your album, the album cover, the personnel, the track listing. You can send us a link to SoundCloud or Bandcamp. It comes directly to my inbox. I listen to every single one, and you never know. Could wind up in a Song of the Day post, in a weekly playlist, or on this very podcast. But I encourage you to check out our Inside Track program on jazziz.com. All right, that'll do it for me today, everyone. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you tomorrow with John Schofield. Cheers.